Have you ever been tortured? Tell us your story. Been waterboarded as part of a demonstration. 72 hours of no sleep, stress positions and interrogations. Been purposefully tear gassed. 14-hour flight to Vienna, filled with obnoxious and drunk Croatians. Of all the three, personally, the no sleep and the flight were the worst. At least the waterboarding was quick. Finally a place to share my story. I'm a Syrian guy, and I served in the Syrian army. I left the Syrian army a few months after March 2011, and joined my buddies in protests. Long story short, I was identified in one of the videos of protests, and I was taken from my home. Day 0, it's around 2200 hours. People knock on our door, and father opens. They ask for me, my father says I'm not home. They storm inside, and look for me. I'm taken in bigamous, and thrown in the back of pickup car. You want freedom you son of a whore? Arabic, and they beat me a lot. I'm now in the black site, Aviation Intelligence Department, Arabic. I'm thrown in a tiny dark room with 15 other people. There's no way we can all stand. Smell of piss and shit and sweat is unbearable. My brain blocks it after a couple of hours. Day 1, I wake up hearing "Where's the soldier spy son of a whore?" Arabic. I'm taken to a room with a big black wheel hanging from the wall. I'm now blindfolded. I'm seated inside the wheel and left there for 1 hour. A big man walks in the room. He whips me with what I learned later is a heavy duty electrical wire. Who's paying you? Arabic. He asks after whipping me for 10 minutes. Nobody, I answer. Looks like you're gonna make this difficult for us, huh? He continues whipping me. I can feel my blood seeping. Very weird feeling, like warm chocolate on your arm, and a small puddle forming in the tire. I pass out. Day 2, wake up, you shit you animal. Arabic. I'm taken to the same room, but this time I'm seated on a chair. No blindfold. My feet are tied to the chair, so are my arms. The same guy walks in and starts hitting me on the shins with a thick stick. The pain is horrible. He did that for 5 minutes. Then he punched me in the face a few times. I lost 2 teeth. Who's paying you? You. Something that would take a few paragraphs to explain. Arabic. I answer, I swear nobody is paying me. Please let me go. He starts punching me in the chest, kidney, face, and kicking on the shin, and stepping on my toes. One more punch to my face and I pass out. I wake up when 2 men are carrying me back to my cell. Day 3, I wake up in my cell, a 1x0.5 cell. There's no way to lay down. The door opens. I'm taken to a different room. Today we'll execute you. Tell us what you know, so you can go in peace, I was told. I can see nothing with my left eye, and can barely see anything with my right one. I'm taken to a different room. I'm hanged from my hands to the ceiling about 20 centimeters above the ground. I'm now being whipped with what I thought was the same cable. By this time, my wounds started to have a very sharp pain, and it was difficult for me to concentrate on the new pain. I'm hungry, thirsty, and can barely stay awake, even though I'm being whipped. I pass out. Day 4 to 1x, I started forgetting which day it is. My brain can't work correctly. Same thing. Whipping, punching, every day. Now they want to know who are my buddies, whether we have guns or not, etc. Like all the days, the torture ends when I pass out. Day 2x, I tried hitting my head on the wall to kill myself. I can't. I tried to strangle myself. I passed out before I died. I want to make the screaming stop. So many people screaming. I don't care about myself now. I just want that women to stop screaming. They're hurting her. Later I learned that they raped her and killed her in front of her husband. They killed him as well. Day 34. They realized that I genuinely have no information for them, or for some other reason. I have no clue. They made me sign a paper thanking the president and saying that I was treated very well. I was driven and left somewhere outside my city. A car stopped for me and the guy drove me home. I knocked on the door. My mother opens and starts crying. I stayed in the hospital 3 weeks after that. I had multiple infections on my body. I nearly lost sight in my left eye because an infection from my own shit. My nose is still crooked till this day. I can't sleep in the dark, and I'll never ever trust anybody with anything in my life. One day I'll be avenged, I hope. I don't know if this counts, but my father used to pin me down then inflict pain on me until I screamed. He'd usually hold me in place then grab a finger and bend it back, or squeeze my knee, kneecap, or wrist, or bear hug me until I felt like I was going to pass out. I guess it counts as torture, since pain was being inflicted on me purposefully against my will. He called it toughening me up. Little sister was sexually abused by him as well. Certainly not a good dad, yet he's an active Jehovah's Witness to this day. My uncle was a pedophile with a sadistic streak, and he started molesting me when I was 5. The summer when I was 12, he interrupted me while I was taking a bubble bath in his jacuzzi tub and tortured me by dunking me over and over. When he first came in, I threatened to scream for my aunt, and he told me that she was gone to the grocery store and to please scream as loud as I wanted. I expected him to rape me immediately, but first he washed and conditioned my hair and combed it out. Then he grabbed me by the hair and held me face down in the water that was about 2 degrees short of scalding. My vision started to go black, but I managed to get my foot hooked around the tap. When I flipped myself over, though, I also turned on the hot water. He hit my head against the marble and dunked me again until I started to pass out. He pulled me out, let me take a deep breath, and then dunked me again and again. There is nothing worse than being drowned. I thought I was going to die. I must have stopped breathing completely at some point, because when I woke up he was giving me CPR. I coughed up what felt like a gallon of soapy water, and then he raped me. Went to jail after a fist fight during a road trip with my traveling companion. Police shackled my ankles through the cell bars at the foot of the bench, shackled my hands together, and took a weightlifting belt that they looped between the handcuffs and a bar a couple feet beyond the other end of the bench. They tightened the belt as much as they could, so I was stretched enough that most of my weight was suspended between the bars. They latched the belt and left me hanging for 8 hours. I screamed the whole time. My hands turned purple, then a dark blue. When they released the tension, the capillaries in my hands had burst, and I couldn't lower my hands below my heart level without severe pain for days. Both of my rotator cuffs were torn. Charges were dropped. I made an account for this story and it's not one I usually share. I had the fortune of being born in the impoverished former Soviet Republic of Ukraine. When I was 5 in 1997, my tonsils swelled up and I had severe trouble breathing, and my mother took me to the hospital to have my tonsils removed. I was 5, so I didn't understand, so I was relatively calm. This is 90s Ukraine, the equivalent of Great Depression America but worse. While hospitals often had trained and professional doctors, certain medical supplies were a rarity, including anesthesia. I was taken to a room, tied down, my mouth pried open, and my tonsils were removed. I don't remember how long it lasted, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but at the end I remember I was covered in blood. The experience left me with a massive phobia of dentists. Every time I go to the dentist I'm on Valium, and even then I'm shaking and sweating uncontrollably. It's not something I usually share, because in America this kind of stuff only happens in Eli Roth films. While I remember some specific painful details, you'll have to forgive me, because they are not easy to reimagine or write down. In 1st grade, I was just shy of 6, started kindergarten early. My teacher found a textbook that someone had written my name in repeatedly with a crayon. It was clearly the writing of a child, my name written a half dozen times, from top to bottom on the inside back cover. My teacher accused me of doing it, but I had not. The more she accused me, the more I denied. The more I denied, the angrier she became. Soon she was screaming in my face, swearing at me, demanding that I confess, but I refused. We were sitting at the kind of desk where the top opens to reveal a storage area underneath for notebooks, pencils, etc. She told me to get my things out of the desk as I was to go to the principal's office. When I reached inside, she slammed my arms with the desktop, then asked if I was ready to confess. I refused, so she told me to get my things again. I didn't want to get my arms slammed again, so I refused. She demanded I get my things, and I continued to refuse. She became so angry she grabbed my arm, lifted the desktop, stuck my hand inside, and slammed the top again. She repeated this about a dozen times, asking between each slam if I was ready to confess. I never did confess, and she eventually stopped when a number of other kids started crying. I told my parents what happened when I got home from school. There was a big stink at school the next day. I had to tell the story of what happened to a number of people. I never saw the teacher again. It really wasn't me who wrote in the book. I was tied up in a house fire. My former husband was extremely mentally and physically abusive. I was leaving him, and he decided that, if I was going to leave, we were all going to go. I ended up escaping. I was tied to a chair after he passed out from the flames. He and the dog died, and the house was burnt to the ground. The only thing that got me through it was knowing that he was trying to kill me. I was able to seek help properly. I think about it every day. When I was really young, over a period of years, when I was 5 to 8 years old, my mother used to punish me for wrongdoing by giving me forced enemas. The physical and emotional terror was severe. It happened at least 5 times. The memories are a little hazy. She thought she owned my body. She thought she knew what was best for me, and she justified the act of forcibly inserting the hard plastic tip of the enema machine into my body, as I sobbed in shame and horror and helplessness, by saying it was good for my health. It hurt. It was incredibly physically unpleasant, but probably unsurprisingly, the thing I took away from it was body shame, or whatever else emotionally abused kids carry into adulthood.